Hi, I'm John Bautista. I'm a partner in our emerging companies group at Orrick. I'm here today with Sergio Monsalve, who's a partner at Norwest Venture Partners. I'm pleased to have Sergio. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, John.
We'd like to start out. Sergio's had a very active portfolio. He sold 3 companies last year, DealMap, M-Factor, Starsight, also sold My Yearbook. He's looking at many opportunities. He's now off some boards and looking for more boards to serve on. So I'd like to start today by asking Sergio, what are some of the opportunities that you're looking at in terms of new investments?
Thanks for having me, John. I really appreciate it. There are really 3 areas that I'm most focused on, and I can talk a little bit about all 3. In fact, I made an announcement of one that represents one of the themes that I've been chasing and I've been very excited about lately, which is the first one is SaaS SMB, small business SaaS solutions. I made an announcement that I made an investment in adaptive planning. Very excited about it, but it represents a broader theme that I'm very excited about, which is this notion that with the emergence of new technologies in social, mobile, and others, you are now able to create very interesting workflow solutions to small enterprises that allow them to be more effective and more efficient. In the past, you either have enterprise software delivered either via the cloud or enterprise on-premise, and then you had consumer solutions. But I think there's this emergence of small, medium enterprise solution that allows companies to now access these technologies in a much easier way, and vendors to serve these companies in a much easier way. So I'm excited about that theme. The other theme that I'm very excited about is mobile, but within mobile, the area that I'm most excited about is specifically the tablet and the iPad and what it could do to consumers, but also enterprises. More specifically, consumers, obviously, there's some amazing apps that could come out in the tablet and the iPad, but I think we're just scratching the surface and what it can do for a company, too. So when I look at mobility, I don't only look at the phone. I'm much more focused on what the iPad can do, frankly. And it could cut across education, enterprise, consumer, gaming. Obviously, is one that has been in the forefront of the cutting edge. But I think it's going to be. We're just in the first inning on that. And then finally, the third one is fintech. I'm very excited about financial technologies. I think it's been an area that, especially consumer finance, has been an area that people haven't paid as much attention to, especially given some of the turmoil we've had in the last 3 or 4 years in the stock market. But I think companies, for example, I invested in a company called Motif Investing that I'm very excited about that allows consumer investors to make better decisions about their investments. And so that I'm very excited about. I think that's a trend that will continue. We're also investors in a lending company called, a P2P lending company called Lending Club. I'm very excited about it. And I think that in general, financial technologies via, it could be payments, it could be billing, it could be workflow solutions. But I think that area is very interesting to me as well.
The thing I like about your themes is that there's a lot of overlap between them, from consumer-driven financial services to mobile and to services around small and medium-sized businesses. So I think your themes are very consistent as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the consumerization of small businesses or just any business is an interesting theme, but also the mobilization of them is interesting. So I think we're seeing a lot more companies acting like consumers first. I mean, I think Box or Dropbox are great examples of very interesting companies that access the consumer via a pull first, push second. It used to be that you access an enterprise via push, meaning you go and sell the product. Right now, a lot of the products just get pulled by the end users themselves, and eventually you notice that your whole enterprise is on that service anyway. So the notion of customer acquisition via pull is a very interesting one for me.
You've had a great career. You've built companies from ground up. You've been involved in companies and helped build them from, such as eBay, from 150 million in revenue to 500 million in revenue. Now you're a partner at a venture fund. You're looking at opportunities, helping to build early stage companies, what are some of the criteria and sort of the important things that you advise companies about at the early stage in order to maximize success?
So I think the number one thing for us, as we come in, we make an investment. The number one thing for us by far is the team, the founding team, the founders. I think that is most important ahead of market, ahead of the solution itself, ahead of anything. And so that extends beyond. Once I get on the board, I think we get to make the decision early on in a company about who we're going to fund and how we're going to work with that management team. And obviously they get to make the decision on whether they want to work with us. So we really partner with our founders initially. And once we are on the board, we continue that theme in that the people they hire to be their management team is also incredibly important. So I think the number one thing I focus on is team. In a corollary to that is team culture. I think if you look at the most successful companies that are out there, if you be at Facebook, Apple, Google, each of those three companies, and those are just three examples, have unique cultures. You look at the enterprise and you look at companies like Oracle or IBM that are also extremely successful. They themselves have very unique cultures and very strong cultures that were instituted from the beginning by their founding teams. And so I think having a strong team that's rowing in the right direction with similar views, similar philosophies, in a strong culture is super important.
So having that agile team to tack the business challenges is a key ingredient for success. So then how do you ensure that team focuses on the right business opportunity and to build the company, a revenue-generating company in a short period of time?
I think that's a good question. I think the beginning of it is creating the right team, and within the right team is the other thing we tend to see a lot is folks that, in the successful companies, folks that really understand how to pivot into the right opportunity. Most companies we see that are successful have meandered into success, but meandered with will to succeed and with a good team behind them or with them. And so I think the concept of pivoting is something that a lot of people talk about, but how you do it and when you do it and what team you have to do it with is very important, because I think markets are so fluid these days. The technology is moving so quickly that the initial business plan that we fund from day one may not be the one that you end up with. But if you have the right team to get you there, then absolutely is going to be a good outcome, I think.
What are some examples of good pivoting successes that you've
So
been
I
involved
think for me personally, DealMap was an incredible story. I mean, I personally was humbled and learned a lot from the founding team there. Both the CEO and the CTO did an amazing job of a triple pivot, and it ended up being a successful outcome that we had to Google. So I think they taught me that team matters quite a bit. I believed it then, but I believe it even more now. And so I think that's a great example of that.
Congratulations on your success and the recent exits that you've had. You're looking for new opportunities in the areas that you mentioned earlier. If you weren't doing what you're doing now as a venture partner, what would you be doing?
Oh, it'd have to be sports related. I love sports. What is it, March? March Madness starts today. I'm a big fan of any sport, soccer, basketball, football. So I'd have to do something in sports. And I'm just, maybe it does go with the themes that I just described. I mean, I just admire great, successful teams working together to deliver a heroic kind of outcome. And you see that in sports all the time. And we get to see it as well in our own companies. It just doesn't move at the pace of a 2-hour game. It takes a while to get there, but I'm a big sports fan.
That's great. Well, remember, Sergio says team comes first, and then you got to pivot into success. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, John. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks.